This is a sample make of my next sewing pattern release. See the link for yesterday's part 2. Now to making up. The first job is to stitch the pockets. We will need the pocket bags and the welt pieces. Firstly, I'm going to stitch the welts and turn through. The welts are stitched. Trim, grading the seam allowance. That means trimming to different widths. Miter the corners. Turn through. This little tool is useful. Check out my sewing supplies page on angelakane.com. These are now pressed. Machine the edges together 1/4 inch just under 1 centimetre from the edge. Dot to dot. We have the 4 dots marked on the fronts. Line up the dots on the welts with the lower pair on the fronts. Raw edges of welt facing upwards. Stitch from dot to dot. The welt piece is attached. Next, we place the lining on top, lining up the 4 dots. Take a note of the pocket shape to make sure you have the right piece. Pin in place. Turning over. Stitch exactly over the previous stitching, dot to dot. Then stitch a row parallel to it, 3/4 inch, 2 centimetres away. But start and stop just over 1/4 inch, 1 centimetre from the start and stop position of the first row. In close-up, we have the 4 dots. This is the first row, dot to dot. The second row is shorter. It starts and stops 1/4 inch, 1 centimetre further in. This is how it looks from the front. Cut through all layers, stopping short of the end of the shorter row of stitching. We will be cutting diagonally towards the ends of the stitching. Cut towards the ends of the shorter row through all layers, and towards the ends of the longer line just through the lining. We don't want to cut into the welt. My scissors are getting caught in the thick tweed. You'll find it a lot easier with most fabrics. This is not the easiest fabric to deal with. Make the same cuts at the other end. cutting through all layers to the end of the shorter line of stitching. And just through the lining to the end of the longer line of stitching. Turn over. Cut towards the end of the longer line of stitching, again just to the top layer. Don't cut the welt. I'm doing the best I can with this very difficult fabric. That's done. At the ironing board, crease the lining like so. A sleeve board is useful for this job. Turn the lining through. Again, the thick tweed doesn't make dealing with the corners very easy. I'm pressing as best I can, but the eventual result will be fine. Once the welt is pressed into position, all will look fine. Lightly press the welt. Although it is taxing to sew this bulky tweed, you can get away with a multitude of sins when working with this sort of fabric. Working from the wrong side, place the under pocket in position. Carefully match the notches. Pin and baste. Check out my sewing pattern page. This new pattern might be available when you view this video. Check out all my many sew-alongs and tutorials. All tutorials are free on angelakane.com. Remove all the pins. To stitch the pocket bag, we will work with the fronts right side facing up. Stitch around the pocket bag, folding the fronts out of the way. Continue across the top. Stitch twice around for strength. Then neaten with zigzag stitch or overlocking. Next, we deal with the top of the opening, which needs to be stitched together. Keep everything flat and in position. Keep hold of the seam allowance. The seam allowance here needs to be stitched to the pocket bag. Pin and machine along the stitching line. This is now sealed off. Finally, we will stitch the ends of the welt in place. Make sure these little corners are tucked out of the way. Pin in position. We'll machine here, up, across and back down. Pockets are finished and look pretty neat considering the bulky fabric. I'm pleased with the result. Watch my tutorial on another type of welt pocket. Tomorrow I will be sewing together the jacket pieces. In the meantime, check out my sewing patterns page on angelakane.com. Thank you for watching.